Hello, and welcome back to the At Home Educator Podcast. Hello, everybody. Today we have a very special episode of the At Home Educator Podcast. I am interviewing a new teacher, Teacher Delicia, and she is going to tell us a little bit about what her experience has been like starting with VIPKid and about what it's like to teach level 2, level 3, trial classes, and substituting with VIPKid. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. All right, everybody, we have Teacher Delicia with us today, and do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Teacher Delicia, and I reside in a small, teeny tiny town in New Mexico. And yeah, I have a bachelor's degree of psychology. So yeah, that's who I am. That's me.
Okay, very nice to meet you. I
Nice to
actually
meet you.
am from New Mexico too, and that's how I, first wanted to reach out to you. That's why I wanted to reach out to you, because I thought maybe we were close together, but it just ends up we're in two very, very small towns that are not too close together.
Very separate. Yes.
Yes, but both very small. So,
Yes.
the small town
The struggle.
trials and tribulations. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I love small towns. I love just the community. Big cities are not my thing. So
Did you grow up there?
yes, born and raised in this little town that I'm in. I lived in San Diego for about 4 years when my parents were in the military, but I absolutely hated it. It was not fun for me.
I'm actually in this small town because of the military, and I come from Florida, which is like the biggest city by area and in the United States. And so I am not used to this at all.
Yeah, I love it though. The green chili here is great.
Oh my gosh, it burns my mouth off. It burns my mouth off. I can't do it.
Oh, it's my favorite thing ever.
Okay, well, anyways, so how did you get into VIPKid?
Well, I was actually just looking for a job on the side. I work in banking, and so I'm just really trying to earn an extra income. And I've been learning a lot about like finances and passive income and stuff this year. So I actually have another like small business on the side, but I needed a way to kind of fund it to get it rolling, and I didn't have the disposable income, which VIPKid provides. So a few of my friends that I work with were actually like looking into waitressing and just doing all these other things on the side. And I considered it, but I was like, I really don't want to work, till 10, 11 o'clock at night and then have to wake up the next morning. Um, Plus, it's a lot of hard work. So I ended up looking on Indeed just to see what was around in my town, and I found the ad for VIPKid and a couple of other ESL companies. So I ended up looking into it, and I did what everybody else does and went onto YouTube, and I found my coach, Teacher Erin, and she ended up coaching me through the process, and I got hired within like a week or two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Teacher Erin, her website is Your VIPKid Journey, right?
My VIPKid journey. Yeah.
My VIPKid Journey.
Yes.
Yes. There's two. I think Your VIPKid is Teacher
Christine.
Tina. But
Yeah.
so you went through Teacher Erin.
Yes, I did, and she is
I
wonderful.
Yes, I fangirl over her.
Yes, I just like her lifestyle is crazy. Like that's what I want. I want to be able to like just pick up and like go to Hawaii and be able to stay there for 2 weeks and still have my job there.
Yep, very jealous of that
Yes.
lifestyle. I can't quite do that yet because of the whole baby thing, but maybe one day. Well, so you don't have a background in teaching?
I don't at all.
Okay, so you did psychology in college and then you got into banking, right?
Yes, which is totally not related really, but yeah, it was, I mean, I was living in I went to a university in the next town over, and there aren't very many jobs there. And so I really wanted to get into like mental health and counseling and that kind of thing. But the only opening was at the bank that I'm at. So yeah, that ended up happening. And I didn't think that it was going to be a permanent thing, which I still don't. It's not like my dream or anything to work at a bank. Um, but I definitely want to move on to bigger and better things. And I've learned recently that I really want to be in control of my schedule because I feel like time is the most valuable thing that you have. And if you're just trading it away for dollars, I mean, you're not really living. You know what I mean? I want to be able to take my day and do with it what I want and not have to answer to anybody or, get called in because somebody else is sick. I want to be able to live the life that I want without answering to anybody or to a boss. I'll answer to my husband, but
Yeah, definitely. So,
yeah.
what did you use as your background with children when you applied for VIPKid?
Well, I did a lot of tutoring while I was in high school. I did work with young children in an elementary school in my town, and so we would go and like read to them once a week, twice a week. I also have little cousins that I have with me a lot of the time, and I love like teaching them things and like playing with them and learning with them. And yeah, I mean, I have a few friends that have kids too, and I've babysat before, so I feel like if you've been in contact with a kid, like I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good stepping stone to joining VIPKid.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just, sometimes you have to get creative. And so it's nice to have like an example of somebody who didn't have a teaching background, like what they
Yeah,
used.
yeah, absolutely. I know there's a lot of people that I found that didn't have a teaching background at all, and I mean, they're doing really well. They're really successful.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing because I think everybody, well, almost everybody has some kind of interaction with kids.
Yes,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
so what do you think of VIP Kids so far?
I love it. If you ask my husband, like he'll probably roll his eyes because I don't shut up about it. Like it's what I talk about 24/7. And I really thought it was gonna just be a honeymoon phase the first month. So I've been with VIPKid since I want to say it was January 20th. So it was right around Chinese New Year. Like my first couple of weeks were like dead, but I loved it still. Um, no, I love it. I mean, it kind of waking up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, it takes some getting used to at first, but I have my routine now. It's awesome. I love it.
So, what do you teach on VIP Kid? What levels do you teach?
So I am certified in levels 2 and 3. I got my trial certification like as soon as I could, like within that first week, and then I also just got certified in level 4. So I'm kind of dipping my toes into level 4.
Okay. What is your favorite one so far?
Oh, probably level 3. I would say level 4, but I haven't really like gotten exposure to it yet. But I love level 3. I have a couple favorites that you can ask them questions about their day and have a conversation, and they can share things with you. I feel like with the lower levels, it's a little bit harder to do that, especially because they can't communicate in English as well. I also really love trials because I don't know. I feel like it just keeps you on your toes, and I like that. It makes things interesting.
Yeah. So, I'd be really interested to hear what you think about the trials.
Yeah, well, first of all, do not be scared. There is nothing to be afraid of. It is awesome. It's just, I mean, you have to teach on the fly. So I really recommend taking Teacher Steven's course on improvisation. That was like a game changer for me. Like I was the same as you. I was like kind of nervous, and as soon as I took that class, I'm like, okay, like that's all I have to do. Like working with VIPKid for trials is kind of just, I mean, think of like, I don't know, a children's TV show, like a learning TV show. And I mean, that's your job is to entertain. I feel like with trials, there's not as much pressure for them to get and retain the material. I mean, of course it is, like you need to stick to the objectives and that kind of thing. But I feel like it's the first impression of VIPKid. And if you make a really good first impression with them, if they sign up with after your class, you get another bonus. But it's just, I mean, it's just a like a sample for them, and think of it as like a sample of ice cream. Like you want to give them the sweetest, most delicious ice cream that they can get, and if they get like really bad ice cream, they're not going to come back.
Yeah, definitely. Do you normally get like younger kids or are they usually older?
I have had a few pre-VIP, which aren't my absolute favorite, but I feel like you can just be like silly with them, and you can I've I've woken up my husband so many times just like singing like silly songs, and getting loud and then soft, and um so those are definitely like more like physical energy. Um but I do get a lot of like level twos and level threes. And you do get levels that you are not certified in. I should probably say that as well. I'm not certified to teach pre-VIP, but they send them to you anyway, which I wish that they would kind of change that, but I digress. Um, yeah, I mean, it's really fun. It's awesome.
So when you teach a child class, are there like a set, is there like a set lesson that you teach from every time for each level, or does it change?
Well, I've taught maybe like 5 or 6 classes just repeatedly. I know with, I think pre-VIP, there's only one trial class, but with the other levels, I can't remember how many exactly, but I think there's like a handful for each one. That's another thing I was going to touch on. It's really nice because once you go through every single one of those classes, you don't have to learn new material. You already know and you already have a routine set. Like for the trial class, I think it's you learn my name is and I am like 5 or whatever. So once I've taught that a few times, like I don't even have to think about it. I know which props I'm going to use. I know, you know, what TPR I'm going to use, and it makes it seamless. It really does.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask you next. Do you have like a little like kind of like a kit set aside for like each class so you kind of know like okay,
Uh,
if I have this class, I'm gonna use these props, this reward.
I haven't got that detailed yet with like my 2D and like my I guess 3D props, but I have this
Mhm.
little board from just Dollar Tree, and I printed out a few of the things that I know I'm gonna use, and most of these I use for every class, most classes. But what I really like, and I have a few stuffed animals. I went to my parents' house, um, knocking at their door asking for the Beanie Babies that they refused to get rid of. That I told them like, get rid of it. I'm never gonna use them. And here I am like asking for them again. So I have a few of those little stuffed animals. But I've really been loving Google Slides because I mean it's just right there in the palm of your hands. You don't have to lug anything around with you when you're traveling, and you can sync it to all of your different devices. So what I like to do is I like to teach with my iPad. I will use that for my props, and then my phone I will also have it open with my rewards. So with younger
Okay.
students, it's not as with younger students I really like to use like physical props. So with definitely with like level 2, level 3, I'll use my iPad, but then I'll also have a couple little things here and there that I can show them.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because so with the trial classes, I would be worried about like, I don't know, maybe a student not understanding a prop or maybe a student not being very interested because they don't know like about the reward systems. So
Yeah.
do you have like a go-to thing that you use for trial classes that seems to really get
Yes.
people?
Yes. So for my Google Slides, I mean, I did have like these little cupcakes that I used for, their rewards, but I feel like they got bored of them really fast, and I kind of did too. So I will use Google Slides for my reward. And to make it a little bit more interesting, Teacher Steven always recommends to like use some sort of sound effect. And so whenever I have like a star, like I'll make a really like fun noise, or I'll raise the roof, woo woo, like I'll cheer them on, and I think that really helps to get them really excited.
Yeah, definitely. Especially I would think with the younger kids, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So with level 2 and 3, what kinds of like topics do you cover? Because I know with level 4 and 5 for like grammar, we're going over things like gerunds and just like more complicated grammar concepts than like things that I was teaching my middle schoolers. So
Yes.
what kinds of concepts do you go over with the younger kids?
So with the younger kids, we definitely go over like members of the family, mom, dad, sister, brother, um, even younger kids, introducing yourself and learning how to say hello and hi, my name is I am 5 years old. I've also been teaching a lot of just vocab, honestly, teaching new words, new nouns, and then verbs, obviously, and definitely in level 3, we go over conjugation. So instead of like I talk, you talk, they talk, he talk, you need to say talks. And so I have a few little props that kind of help me explain that, because that's been not a really hard challenge, but it's something that you need to spend a little bit more time on than just kick, 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 kick. They understand the verb. It's just how to use a verb in a sentence correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even the older kids seem to struggle with that. And when I've always had, well, not always, but I've had some classes where I tried to like explain a grammar concept to them, and I realized I'm like, oh no, I went way too far. And then they're just kind
Yes.
of confused. Have you ever had that happen?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't. And what I really try to do is, focus on, what the objectives are. Like those are my only like minimum requirements of that slide. And if I feel like they're, picking up on it a little bit more, I'll give them a little bit. I don't go and open the whole book of grammar and why things are certain ways and why, whatever. Um, but if they seem a little bit confused, I'll try to make it a little bit more understandable for them.
Yeah. So with level twos and threes, one of my biggest concerns, and I'm sure other people's biggest concerns, are like those horror stories that you hear where kids are like running around and, super distracted and playing with crazy things, or
Oh
like their
yeah.
parents are sitting there and like talking to you instead of the student doing the class. Have you ever
Yes.
had?
Oh yeah. Of course I have. No, there was this one student, and I've been working on her. I hope she books me again, because I really want kids are like puzzles, and it's like I want to crack the code. Like I want to know what it is that she wants and needs from me to help her learn better. But she just seems so uninterested in everything that I say. It'll be the beginning of class, and I'll say, hi, how are you? And, she'll talk back. And then once we start going to the slides and actually like me teaching, she's just like all over the place. She'll scribble on the screen. And she's not like a young kid. She's not like 6, 7 years old. This girl is probably like more close to like 8 or 9. And she was at her grandmother's house, and I just kept talking to her. I'm like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And she was like, "Yeah, I can hear you." But she was just ignoring me. And so I contacted the firemen, because I was like, yelling at the screen and like trying to make it interesting. And so I contacted the fireman, who contacted her dad, who I believe was maybe at work, or he wasn't there. And her you see her grandma, this really cute little lady, come in, and she starts like yelling at her and is like, your dad, I don't know if she said this or not, it was in Chinese, but she's like, your dad, your dad's on the phone, here, talk to him. And she's on the phone, she's like, okay. And her grandma leaves the room, and so she's doing pretty good for a minute, and then she like looks back and notices that her grandma's gone, and she's like done again. And so I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna get to this girl. Like how can I make learning fun and interesting for her?" I don't know if she's intimidated, or if she just thinks it's like lame because, whatever, she's too cool. Um, so yeah, I've definitely had one of those. This morning, actually, I had a really interesting student. He was 8 years old, I believe, 7 or 8 years old, and we were going over gosh, well, I can't even remember what we were going over. Um, but he had these, oh, it was clothes, duh. Um, but he was wearing these really cool, like, stunner shades, and I was like, "Oh, wow, like, your glasses are really cool, okay, let's start class." And he just wants to talk about his glasses, so we're going through the material, and he's a really smart kid. Like, he got, every question that I asked him, he answered, like, but he was just very, like, hyper energetic, like, talkative. And I felt so bad because I had a class right after his, and it took us a while to get through everything. And so the 28, 29-minute mark came, and I was like, okay, like, it was nice to meet you. I will see you next time. Goodbye. And he was like, teacher, teacher, teacher. I'm like, what? And he put his little glasses on his stuffed animal, and I'm like, oh my gosh, kid, like, you are so cute, but I have to go. And so he, like, kept trying to talk
Yeah.
to me, and I just pretended I couldn't hear him, and I was like, okay, goodbye, like, see you later. And I, like, clicked, and I felt so bad, but I literally had to go. Like, I couldn't stay. I wish I could have. I totally would have. But hopefully he'll book me again. And I
So,
mean, I wish there were, like, I don't know, a couple extra minutes at the end, but I've been really trying to contact parents on WeChat, especially the little boy that I had this morning. I sent him a message and I told him, I'm sorry that I cut you off. Like, I acknowledge that I did. I would love to teach you again, and here's my WeChat if you want to send me stuff, or if you want to send me voicemails or whatever. Like, I'd be happy to reply to those.
yeah, definitely. That's a good idea. I feel like, do you have a lot of younger students who want to do a lot of like extra talking, like show you like, oh, this is my stuffed animal or whatever?
Yes, and the first girl I was telling you about that was ignoring me. I had her for a previous class, and we struggled. We struggled through the whole lesson, and then at the end she brought out these little pandas, and she was speaking like fluent English. Like, she was really, like, a really good speaker. And I'm like, girl, why are we struggling through everything else, but then when we're talking about something totally unrelated, you just, like, doesn't stop talking.
Going back to the trial classes, you mentioned the fact that if they sign up, you get a bonus, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
does that bonus vary or is it a set amount?
No, it is always $5. So when the students have a trial class, they get, I believe, three. I don't think that they get more than three. So let's say they take the first class and then they sign up for your class and they sign up right after yours, you'll get the $5 bonus instead of the other teacher. So
Okay. And how many trial classes have you seen like convert to signups? Is it high or low?
I have a whopping three, and I feel like majority of the classes that I've taught were trials. So that just means that I need to take a couple more workshops and get that number up.
Yeah. So do you think that trial classes are worth it or not?
I think so. I really do, because I feel like if you, like, stumble a little bit and you fall, like, that, it's more practice. And I feel like my booking rate, like, especially for new teachers, I got my first week, I got like two bookings out of like all the ones that I opened. And I feel like after I opened my trials, like, they just started flowing in. And then you never know, you could get a new regular from that, and find the kid that you really like. I also feel like, I mean, the trial students, they're new to VIPKid too, just like you. And so they don't really know what to expect. So I feel like as long as you're okay with, maybe not knowing something, but then moving on, and just like you said with improv, like, as long as you can keep the ball rolling, I feel like the kid won't know. Like, they won't know if you hit every objective in the lesson. And I mean, the parents are still new too, so they might not even know. So, I mean, as long as you're providing a good time for the child, and the parent sees their kid speaking English and laughing and smiling and, practicing, I feel like that's the main point of trial classes.
So one more question about pay with trial classes. Do you get paid the same to teach a trial class as you do to teach like a major course class?
You do, absolutely. However, if there is a student no-show, you only get half pay.
Okay.
And then with short notice as well, you will get those extra couple dollars.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
So, I also saw on your Instagram story yesterday that you started substitute teaching for VIPKid.
Yes.
Have you done like a lot of those yet?
I've done a whole one.
Oh, well, how did your one go?
It was really good. It was really good, actually. It was it challenged me to kind of teach on the fly. Um So I definitely like tapped into my like inner teacher Steven, and it went really well. It went really good. The student ended up booking me again, which is great. But yeah, like you just never know. With trial classes though, they send you an email to invite you, and they basically say, here are the slots that are open for you to sign up for. Go ahead and like pick what you want. And so you send them, you do this survey, you send it back, and you say, I could do these days, these times. Well, then that following Friday, they'll send you an email back to let you know which ones you got. So I submitted, I want to say close to like 15 to 18 of them, and I only got two.
Okay.
But I also feel like that is part of them just building rapport with you. On the document that they sent me, there were a few teachers that had like 10 and 20 slots, booked. And I think that's just because they know that they're reliable teachers, and so maybe that's what I'm building up to.
Yeah. So does the pay work any differently for substituting?
It does actually. You get paid short notice,
Okay.
and then you also get paid whether or not you teach. You get your full pay. So
Okay. So that's
yeah,
good.
so whether or not they book, all you have to do is be on standby for the first 15 minutes of that class, and if they're not, if they need you, they'll send you a message, and if not, you don't have to worry about it, and you just get paid to like sit there on your phone.
Okay. Well, I don't think anybody could argue that that's a good
Yeah,
deal.
no, absolutely not.
So, also with substituting, you said you enter the class, it would be after the 15-minute mark, right?
So no, you're in the class. Well, they don't give you the classroom until they know that they need you. So you'll be on your classroom tab. It'll say, you know, whatever, like they'll class cancellation. There's a couple little options, and then it'll say substitute teacher. I'm ready to teach. And you'll just send them a little message that says, I'm a guaranteed teacher for this slot, and you always want to put the time in Beijing time, and you'll just let them know that you're ready on standby, and they'll send you a message back saying, okay, like we logged you, please stay here for 15 minutes until we can get to you.
Well, all I can say is that you must be a very brave new teacher. For
Yeah.
somebody, how long have you been teaching with VIPKid?
A whole, well, 58 days today.
Wow. So, yeah, for somebody who's only been teaching 58 days, I think that's a big leap to take to do substituting, to just like
Yeah.
swoop in and take a class whenever they need you. So,
Well, thank
I
you.
mean, I'm impressed.
Thanks.
So, since you have so much, well, a good amount of experience so far teaching the child classes and the substitute classes, what would be like some pieces of advice that you would give to a teacher who wants to teach those classes?
I would definitely say take as many workshops as you can. Even if you are like not actively participating, I put it on my phone while I'm getting ready in the mornings, and I feel like I kind of learn and pick up little things through osmosis. But then there's little times where I can, take that hour and actually sit down and study. And I feel like that's even more beneficial. If you can do that more often, I would suggest it. I would also suggest to just be patient. Don't get discouraged too quickly, and I mean, just you kind of have to be a self-encourager, but then I need to also say, like, tap into the VIPKid community, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram, or even like YouTube if you're a YouTuber, because there's so many people who've already done it. They've already been where you've been, and they know how to handle a situation. So I feel like just gaining perspective from other people, like that's what we're put on this earth to do, is to learn. And I mean, it's there for you. You just need to take advantage of it.
Definitely. And don't you have a YouTube channel?
I do. If you want to find me and all my awkwardness, I am Teacher Delicia on YouTube, and it's super fun, and I'm super silly, and I don't know. I'm not sure what videos I'm going to do next, but I plan on putting out. I don't have an exact goal, but whenever the inspiration comes to me, I will be putting out more videos.
Well, that I think is all the questions that I have for you. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I thought it was very helpful since I haven't had a chance to teach those trial classes or anything yet, and I'm sure that other people will find it very helpful too. So
Yeah,
thank you for
thank
sharing.
you. I think your podcast is awesome and just everything that you're doing is totally incredible. And I feel like you're going to reach so many people. I'm going to speak life over your podcast and you are going to do great.
Well, thank you.
All right, so that is it for my interview with Teacher Delicia. She was a pleasure to talk to and a pleasure to meet, and I hope that you think so too. I hope that the advice that she gave us today was helpful if you are thinking about getting that trial certification or signing up to do some substituting classes. Maybe it gave you an insight on what to expect from level 2-3 students. I know that it was really great for me to hear from another teacher that it is good to do and it is fun and it's great, just like most things with VIPKid, but it's nice to have that peace of mind. So make sure you let me know what you think in the comments or by email. You can always look at those links that are in the description to contact me. And I will also leave links to all of the people that we talked about today. So Teacher Steven, Teacher Aaron, and of course, Teacher Delicia down below. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you soon. Bye.